Hello again, anyone who's watching. It's Nico and I'm back after a short while. And once again I'm going to toot my own horn because today I was in Sweden and picked up the latest Planet Master God album fresh off the press. Planet Master God, the band in which I play the drums. Our fifth album release. And our third LP release. Our first two albums and EP was released on CD, but who buys CDs anymore? Except for me, occasionally. But this, our fifth album, came out pretty nice, I think. In unlaminated matte cardstock, double vinyl, strictly limited to 200 copies because we aren't a big band. So, but I guess I'll get rid of these in a short time. So if you are interested in getting a copy of our latest album supporting us, just hit me up with a DM on Instagram. My handle there is the same as my channel name here. So enough of that. Well, I decided to come back and make a video. I have a pile of records which I have been enjoying immensely through the last year, and I wanted to show them and talk about them before I file them away. First off, a fairly recent reissue of the classic album Musik von Harmonia, which is of course Michael Rother and Dieter Mobius and Joachim Rodelius from Cluster and of course Neu. This is, I guess you all know this one, just fabulous electronic ambient progressive music. And this is the Grönland reissue from about, I think, 2014 or something. Yeah, 2015. And I think it was hilarious. On the shrink wrap it was a giant hype sticker saying digitally remastered. And I've been reading some reviews online, especially on Discogs. People are slanting this for, oh, it sounds so cold and digitally compressed and just that load of bullcrap. This sounds fabulous. And if you ever heard an original and compare it to this, I guess your ears aren't fine-tuned, so you couldn't hear the difference. Because guess what? You can't hear digital. That's my opinion anyway. So I got this fantastic reissue from Grönland. Wouldn't mind an original, of course, but they don't come cheap. I also got Harmonia's second album, Deluxe, from 1974-ish, 75, which is equally as enjoyable, a little more organic, some acoustic drums here and there thrown in for good measure, whilst the first album only has that crude early drum machine, which adds to the sound. But this is also a magnificent listen. But this also had a giant digitally remastered hype sticker, so it must sound awful. No, it doesn't. High quality pressings, quiet pressings, great audio, and even greater music. So I've been enjoying those two immensely over the past year. And I was also lucky to actually find these two sealed, actually. Reissues from 1980 of Cluster's first two albums. That's when they were Cluster with a K and with Konrad Schnitzler in the band. I left I rarely do so, but I left the shrink on because it's specially imported from Great Britain, it says. Which is strange. It must have been exported to Britain and then imported from Britain to Norway, I don't know. But it's on the original record company label, AMS Schwann Studio, Schwann AMS Studio, sorry. And these could be found for quite cheap in reasonable condition. These are near mint. This is the second one, Zwei Osterei. First one, sorry, is called Klopfzeichen. And their second one from the year later, 71 I believe, is called Zwei Osterei. The same deal here, came sealed and on the original label. And as you might know, the originals from the early 70s were released in sort of plastic relief cover with raised lettering, and the plastic has become very brittle over the last 50 years, so to find one of those in pristine condition, well, then you have to part with a lot of money. And these sound awesome. Don't pay anything more than 50 euros, I think, for these. Or if you want the originals, 1,000 euros plus, if you even can find pristine condition copies. So, what kind of music is Cluster? Well, it's very abstract, avant-garde, sound collage. I wouldn't call it necessarily music, certainly not entertainment music. It's something that forces you to sit down and listen to it. It's not for your everyday background listening, but quite eerie sounding, sinister. I dig these two, so I was happy to find these. I have the Bureau 12 or 13 reissues from the early 2010s with the original covers, although in cardstock. Another fun one is this sampler, this compilation of Birth Control, Best of Birth Control. This is a nice way to get into the Mach das Ohr auch catalog. It's a strange compilation because I think it's from 1972. It must be because it has double 5 digits in the catalog number. But Birth Control was only on the Or label for their 2 first albums. So this compilation only consists of tracks from the 2 first album, the self-titled one, which I showed in the last video, and Operation, plus a single track. I believe it's Hope and Pandemonium. I don't remember, but this is a nice way to get into Krautrock originals. This is quite cheap, perhaps 20-30 euros for a nice copy on that fantastic Mach das Ohr label. If you're into labels and are quite anal, such as I, It's not the best sounding, it's not the best cut, it's in some places a little muffled compared to the original releases, but if you have a treble button on your sound system, that should do the trick. Early birth control is always a fun listen, and look at that cover. Birth control. There's the fetus or embryo in the trash can. They were quite famous for their provocative covers. Another one which I just adore. It's the cover is pretty beat up, but you have to take what you can get. Tony Conrad featuring Faust. Fantastic droney album. No room for experimentation for Faust here. 2 side long tracks. Side A, the side of a man and womankind, and side B, the side of the machine. Both tracks are droney, hypnotic, and just beautiful. If you are patient with music and just let the music build, this sucks you in. I just love this album. I would like to perhaps have a better copy of the cover, but I'm contemplating buying the reissue on Via Aqueduct, I think it's called. This is the original on Caroline Records. Getting quite hard to find, and especially the cover is always beat up for some reason. It's unlaminated and the back panel is black, so that might explain it, but one I've been enjoying immensely over the last year. So I recommend this, really recommend this record. Tony Conrad with Faust. Outside the Dream Syndicate is the name of the album. Well, a year or 2 years ago I showed Gomorra's second album. I turned to see whose voice it was. Awesome, very, very individual sounding band. Unique sounding, I should say. This is their second and last album from 1972, but they released an album in 1970 called Trauma. I've had a reissue on the Long Hair label for a couple of years, but finally got to snag one of these. Original on BASF. That big corporate jazz label. This is actually BASF Cornet, because this album was first released in 1969, recorded and with German lyrics. It wasn't called Trauma, it was simply called Gomorrah, but they re-recorded old tracks and rewrote the lyrics into English and released this one, I believe, in 1970. Probably trying to hit abroad the German border, which of course never happened, but this is a fantastic album as well. Sounding a bit different than this one, which is more fully realized, full-on progressive rock. This has 1 feet in the late 60s with some pop sensibilities, some blues rock sensibilities, and a large dose of progressive sensibilities, and of course that unique German style, which I can't explain, but unique songwriting, song structures, and of course the big pièce de résistance is the title track, Trauma, which is about 12 minutes. Starts off as a fairly conventional song and leads into space and just jamming. Fantastic, and it never returns to the song, which I find quite extraordinary. Excellent, excellent. So I've been enjoying that lately as well. 3 to go, I think. 3 originals. And this time around they are lumped sort of into the krautrock scene, but their band leader was from Switzerland, I believe. Sorry. It's of course Brain Ticket. Fantastic music. You all know this one. Cottonwood Hill. An original on the Hallelujah label. I haven't listened as much to this one as the other two, but this is the most famous one, and perhaps the most far out one, the most groundbreaking album perhaps. With the advice, after listening to this record, your friends won't know you anymore. And a note of warning, only listen once a day to this record, your brain might be destroyed. Well, this album and Ascension by John Coltrane are the only 2 occasions where my girlfriend has told me to turn off the music. Quite understandably. So, I think perhaps this is their most groundbreaking and experimental album, but my favorite and their most fun album, in my opinion, is their second one, Psychonaut, an original on the Bellephone label. This is more conventional songwriting, more progressive hard rock and some Eastern influences, more typical of its time. But I do love this one. I tend to put this one on the most of those 3 records by Brain Ticket. And the third one, which is called Celestial Ocean, and this is perhaps, in my opinion, not my favorite, but their best, their most fully realized. Progressive, dreamy, spacey, in some places a bit avant-garde, but just actually, in my opinion, a perfect album. This is the German edition on RCA, actually a promo edition. I don't know how unusual that is, but so there you go. Brain Ticket's 3 albums. Celestial Ocean, perhaps their finest moment. Psychonaut, in my opinion, their most fun and my favorite record. And of course Cottonwood Hill, which is their most famous and perhaps most groundbreaking album. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed those showings, and if anything was new, I hope you go and listen to some of the albums I show. If there's one album I urge you to check out, it's Tony Conrad with Faust, Outside Dream Syndicate. You won't regret it. Bye for now, and thanks for watching. See you later.